extremely unworthy one. I think that what we have learnt from His Holiness and Acharya Tulsi and the great tradition of the Jains has been that our ancient civilizational heritage continues to have a deep vitality and a deep energy. And the very fact of this conference that brings together a confluence of energies, insights, and wisdom is a remarkable illustration of that potential, of that imperative in today's fractured planet, when diverse worldviews are ripping us apart, that there is an engagement of this kind that seeks to bring this together, not in the intention of converting people to our individual perspectives, but to see that how we can learn from each other. And since modern science is the traditionally accepted new science, the new knowledge that is available to us after thousands of years of evolution of traditional wisdom, whose focus was really in developing the most sophisticated mind training techniques that have been available or created really in human history in our part of the world, and to see how that can engage with modern sciences. And there are, of course, commonalities and there are challenges. And we have to recognize, as the Jain tradition is today doing, is that we cannot exclude any branch or facet of knowledge in our quest of truth and the pursuit of happiness. The Buddha taught, as did Mahavir, that we suffer because we misconstrue and embrace a false sense of reality. And what is that true nature of reality? And obviously it has been approached from diverse sources and diverse perspectives, each of which have evolved unique insights and perspectives that they can bring to the table of discussion and discourse. So today, monks, as you do in the Tibetan tradition, in the Tibetan Buddhist monasteries of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, study formally as part of their training as monks, quantum physics, neuroscience, and the entire gamut of modern sciences, along with their tradition of mind training through the dialectical process, which is why you'll often see images of Tibetan monks debating and clapping their hands, which is really a symbol of the sword of wisdom striking through the air to generate insight. And so the rigors and demands of a scientific curriculum and engaging with the methods of Jainism, Buddhism, and the rich gamut of traditions is not necessarily about harmonizing the two, but about what one can learn from the other, including other faiths. His Holiness has often remarked that the empirically verified conclusions of modern cosmology and astronomy must now oblige us to accommodate these and, if necessary, to change the assumptions found in Buddhist texts. And so the journey of His Holiness in embracing science today has included substantial empirical research at the best universities in the United States, so that they are impartial, they are impersonal in terms of the influence that the source religion can give to them. So there is research at Richie Davidson at the University of Wisconsin is looking at the neurobiology of the brain, looking at the impact that the meditation on compassion has. Why the meditation and compassion? Because today, you, sir, were at the teaching by His Holiness. I recognize you. Welcome. So it really is to look at and accept independent scientific research, not scientific research that originates from a particular faith, but comes to the systems and processes of science. I will just offer a brief conclusion from a quotation that His Holiness treasures greatly, and this comes from a sutra, and it's called the Kalma Sutra. It says that it is proper that if you have doubt that you have perplexity, for if a doubt has arisen in a matter which is doubtful, do not be led by reports or tradition or hearsay. Do not be led by the authority of religious texts, not by mere logic or inference, nor by considering appearances, nor by the delight in speculative opinions, nor by the idea of unseeming possibilities and certitude. What you know for certain, and when you know for certain that certain things are unwholesome and wrong and bad, then give them up. And when you know for yourselves that certain things are wholesome and good, then accept them and follow up on these. This is summed up in the motto of the Royal Society, take no one's word for it. And that is a tough call for religions today. And I think it's wonderful, and this is to celebrate the effort of inspired by and administered by Dr. Mishra and inspired by Muniji to move in that direction. I bring you the greetings of my Buddhist community and the community of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very significant presence here at the inaugural function. Padma Bhushan, Justice Dalveer Bhandari ji, a legal luminary of our country, of the International Court of Justice, Hague, the Netherlands. He was at the Apex Court of India as a judge for 21 years. Justice, we believe, should be tempered with compassion. Justice, we believe, should be tempered with mercy. And that has been reflected in all the landmark judgments given by Justice Bhandari. And since judiciary is a very important pillar of society and of democracy, it should also progress with changes in society. And Justice Bhandari led the campaign for legal aid, legal literacy, and today he delivers the inaugural address at the international conference. Justice Bhandari.
I deem it a great privilege and honor to have been asked to inaugurate this conference. In my view, looking to the present world scenario, there is a great relevance of basic principles of Jainism, particularly the principle of non-violence. The entire world is sitting on a volcano which may erupt any time, at any point of time. The amount of nuclear warheads and weapons which have been accumulated by some countries have the potentialities of wiping out the entire humanity. The main principle of Jainism, non-violence alone, has the potentiality of saving the humanity from destruction. In my view, never before adherence to the principle of non-violence was more relevant and important than now. Jainism is one of the oldest logical scientific religion in the world. Therefore, it is even now very relevant and useful to society. Jainism has molded and influenced many societies predominantly because of its emphasis on non-violence. Jain doctrine is pertinent when it advocates that the universe is uncreated, real, eternal, and infinite, with no beginning or end. Modern science has confirmed that the universe has automatic working process. The matter is never destroyed, it only undergoes changes to different states or modes. This is the law of nature. Jainism is fully logical and scientific. This statement can be proved from various illustrations. Jainism's theory of karma, which finds support when we witness so much of disparity in society among living creatures. The doctrine of karma also does away with necessity of any outside agency, an invisible or pervading, omnipotent supreme being, creator, destroyer or preserver, and dispenser of justice for punishing and rewarding the living beings. Scientists also feel no need of unknown hand to interfere with automatic working of the universe. The law which regulates the doctrine of karma is based on the principle of cause and effect. The old saying, as you sow, so shall you reap, present the whole doctrine in a nutshell. The karma creates genes, and genes and karma both determine the life circle and inheritance of living being. Genetic sciences says we are what we are because of our genes. Genes not only bear genetic traits of their parents, but also represent karma performed by individual. Researchers have arrived at a conclusion that karmas are the cause and genes are the effect. Karmas direct, instruct, and motivate genetic codes of functions and mutate accordingly. In Jainism, every living being is responsible for his action and thoughts and faces the consequences of his action in accordance with the basic law of Jainism. Jain philosophers, thinkers believe that plants, vegetables, and green vegetation have life, and that is incorporated in centuries old Jain scriptures. Eminent scientist Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose established, scientifically proved in early 19th century that plants and vegetables have life like human beings. Even routine small practices or rules which are observed by a section of Jains have scientific basis, such as drinking of distilled or boiled water, not having meals after sunset, not eating green vegetables on some special occasion or purpose. Jainism also ordained its followers to drink water and after distillation. With the view to avoid killing of germs, the scientists have found numerous tiny germs invisible to naked eyes moving to and fro in the water. Having meals after sunset is very scientific according to Jainism. Medical doctors have confirmed it. Similarly, the principle of psychology, sociology, anthropology, biology, chemistry, mathematics, and other branches of similar type also find support in Jainism. The relevance of science, engineering, technology, as well as scientific literacy is always used for well-being of society from ages in present scenario is more profound than ever before. The element of scientific research are found in ancient Jain philosophy, the study of astronomy, stars, planet, universe, physics, matters, atom, space, and motion of time reveal the most scientific principle are laid down in old Jain scriptures. Preservation of environment and ecology is intrinsic, inherent, and innate in Jainism. It is built, inbuilt, integrated in every principle, tenet, and concept of Jainism. The environmental scenario is grim and dismal. The pollution level in soil, water resources, and air has already reached maximum permissible and tolerance limit and continues to increase unabated. Dangerous consequences have started manifesting in climate changes, melting of snow, storage of crop yields, water scarcity, erratic rains, droughts, flood, diseases, and miseries of all sorts. The doctrine of equality of all life forms and include earth, soil, and mineral, water resources, energy, fire, and air, doctrine of non-violence of Jainism, if strictly follows, has potentiality of restoring the health of environment. It may be relevant to mention that consumption of per capita water is minimum among Jain monks and sadhus, and consumption of per capita electricity is negligible among them. Economic and rational use of otherwise scarce natural resources is the main solution of burning problem of environment and ecology. This is also based on Jainism's main principle of non-violence and non-accumulation of parigraha, of wealth and resources, or in other words, to use things which are absolutely necessary. If what is followed and practiced by our Jain sadhus is practiced on a large scale, perhaps we may be able to solve the problem of environment in a big way. Albert Einstein, in his article, Science and Religion, mentioned science without religion is lame, and religion, science is blind. Jainism is combination of both science and religion. All the living and non-living in the universe and the views about them are involved in Jainism. Einstein further says, I believe any human being who is cultured and who has religious outlook has capacity of becoming free from the selfish motive. The principles of Jainism are supported in modern science. Human welfare is hidden in every principle. They are proved in the laboratory of Kaivalya Gyan, the supreme knowledge. They are proved by observation, logical thinking, and illustration. In this way, Jainism has become humanity-centered, and I'm convinced that synthesis of Jain philosophy and science will provide a valuable and rational framework and has tenet to transform the world into a better place to live. Jainism is true path of living a better and contented life. Acharya Sri Tulsi, Acharya Sri Mahapragya Ji, and Acharya Sri Mahashraman Ji in series of discourses have beautifully elucidated the gist of this principle. Happiness of all is the motto of Jainism. It is eternal path to get eternal truth. Some of the important principles of Jainism which have great relevance are non-violence, aparigraha, non-accumulation of wealth and material objects, live and let live, love all living beings and respect them. In my considered view, Jainism is not only a religion, but is a way of life. In my view, need of the hour is to correctly translate Jain scriptures and agams and interpret them by a team of experts. This kind of intense and comprehensive deliberation and exercise may further open gateway of serious research and ultimate outcome may prove beneficial for the entire mankind. I am keenly looking forward to the gist of deliberation and suggestions of the experts in this international conference. I would like to conclude my address by quoting a great Chinese philosopher, Confucius. He says that by three methods we can acquire wisdom. First, by reflection, that is the noblest. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. Third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Now, we are really working on the third way of gaining and acquiring wisdom. I wish all the participants a very pleasant and fruitful stay. Thank you very much for kind attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we are discussing philosophy, when we are discussing problems of our society and the world, the political process is very important. And the political leader who occupies a center stage in the political process is very important. We look up to the political leader in many of our efforts, or most of our efforts. Today we have with us Dr. Harshavardhan, who is a Minister of Science and Technology and also of Earth Sciences in the Government of India. He's a medical doctor. He's a master of surgery. And all of us know how we won the election from Chandni Chowk in a very exciting manner. Ladies and gentlemen, when he was earlier the Minister of Health in 1994, he took up the challenge of polio immunization And today we can very proudly say that polio is almost eradicated. And very self-effacing, very accessible and honest and efficient minister, a model for all our political leaders. Dr. Harshvardhan is our chief guest. May I request him for his address?
It's really beyond my vocabularies and linguistic abilities to describe my sense of pleasure at seeing what is actually happening here. All these years since I started my public life in '93, I have always been propagating at all international forums through data and through explanations. I assure you I will not get into those details here, that because I worked in health for 40 years, it is now in science for 1 year, and that has always been a passion area for me, and I have always recommended to the world, even at all international forums, World Health Organization, where I worked for a number of years as an advisor, that if you have to achieve health for all, for the whole world, then there is sufficient knowledge and wisdom in India, and more particularly in the Jain philosophy and the Jain principles and the Jain lifestyle and the value system that the Jain philosophy propagates. I remember with a lot of nostalgia some 72 to 96 hours that I spent in Bikaner in 1996 in the company of Acharya Mahapragya ji, when I was the Health and Education Minister of Delhi, and I took all my officers of the education department, starting from the Secretary Education to the best principals, some 50 to 75 of them, maybe it was 100. And they spent 96 hours there, and then we were thoroughly convinced that the Jivan Vigyan movement started by Acharya Mahapragya ji in the country has great potential to transform India and to get India the best human beings in future. And this particular activity that has been initiated, I think this is also going to be a blessing in disguise, not only for India, but for the whole world. I'm sure about it. I have gone through the ancient wisdom of India in all fields in great detail in my past. I will not talk in detail about it right now here, because I remember that unfortunately in India there are still significant number of significant people who mock at it when you talk of the ancient wisdom of India. I remember that at the last Indian Science Congress in 2014, when I talked about the antiquities of the Pythagoras theorem, it received more attention in media than it deserved, and all the important topics about the climate change and the biotechnology and the earth sciences and the great mathematicians and the scientists who have come from abroad who put forward so many great things, they all got eclipsed. But I'm so happy that under the leadership of Acharya Mahendra Muniji, we have initiated this process. And as he rightly said, that we have to convert knowledge into wisdom. I think in our glorious past we had knowledge also, we had wisdom also. And I think over the years we seem to have either lost it, or if not lost it, we seem to have developed that feeling where we don't respect that wisdom. And this research is basically, we don't have to do something new. This is already there in all our scriptures. And as far as the Jain philosophy is concerned, we know that we have references to our all the Jain Tirthankars in the Vedas also. So the Jain philosophy is probably the one of the oldest Hindu philosophy, not only for this country but for the whole world. The supremacy of science to be able to solve all the problems of the world, I think this is now well established. And we may not know the explanation, but science explains everything. And all that is in our scriptures, all that we have learned over the years, it has been explained by science by our great people in the past also. So when we talk of science and Jain philosophy, I don't consider it as something new that we are probably trying to do. What we are trying to do is to revive our old glorious memories of the past, use them for the betterment of our mankind. And if I have to summarize Jain philosophy in my own way, I always say that when we are born in a country like India, and when we are born like a human being, it's an extraordinary privilege that we enjoy. And when we enjoy that privilege, the challenge before them is actually to become a human being. And Jain philosophy, I think, probably teaches us in the ablest manner to become a good human being. That is what I have understood about. That is how it respects the importance of soul, and respects the importance of soul of the ant also, the soul of the elephant also, soul of the plant also, and respects nature. And I think what all these problems that we confront today, whether they relate to climate change, or whether they relate to global warming, or the destruction of nature, and environmental pollution, things like that. Dalbir Bhandari ji has made a detailed reference to virtually everything that we are confronted with, and Rajiv ji, all the previous speakers made great mention about all those things. So I strongly feel that at this particular moment of time in India's history, I don't say that as Science and Technology Minister, because I am the Science and Technology Minister. I have to say that I can tell you with the utmost confidence and knowledge about the subject that we are right now not inferior to anyone in the world. And there are a number of fields where we have developed cutting-edge technology.